Kwasi here, and in this video, I want to share with you the mechanism of letting go and really how to eliminate those past emotions, past feelings, past thoughts that keep influencing what's happening currently and influencing what's unconsciously going to happen in your life should these feelings stay. By the end of this video, you're going to learn the 2 keys that is going to help you completely eliminate all of the residue of the past, and as a result, have you organically create the life that you actually want, rather than be unconsciously subject to all of these past traumas, all of these past experiences that you unconsciously subscribed to. I really want you to stick around till the very end of this video, because this is the biggest reason why people keep staying stuck in Groundhog Day and why they're never able to break free from the circle and turn it into a straight line. Before I begin this video, I wanted to quickly announce that a few spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me for the Reality Mastery program to see if we would be a good fit to work together. So if you're interested, make sure you wait till the end of the video for the announcement on that. And with that, let's get started. So in this video, we're going to talk about letting go and how to process these emotions from the past that keep influencing what's going on in your life right now. Like, why this is key for you to know and why this was key for me to understand was I saw that events that would happen in the past would trigger something in me, and that emotion would start influencing what happens in the future. To give you an example, some fearful scenario happens, and for the rest of my life, I kept living in avoidance of that. If you keep living in avoidance of something, you're focusing on the avoidance. And as a result, you move more towards the avoidance. And we've had so many clients in the program who've been traumatically shaped by past events. And they keep playing around these events more and more. They keep focusing on avoiding these events rather than the actual desire of experiencing what they want. You know, something goes wrong in your business that scars you. And that emotion, that residual emotion lives on continually in your life and haunts you from your unconscious to your conscious living. And as a result, shapes the forthcoming events that show up in your life. Okay, this is why this is extremely key for you to know. Because if you can eliminate, these emotions that keep shaping your life and shaping your destiny, you will totally gain the power to create your own life. Okay, so first of all, I want to share with you this pyramid. And this is really the 3 biggest ways in which we process our emotions day to day. Okay? The topmost layer is expression. This is what society encourages. Like, if you feel angry, society will say, go punch a punching bag or express your emotions. Yeah, go ahead and express your emotions. While expressing your emotions is good, it's not enough. Because what expressing your emotions does is it lets out the energy behind the anger. It lets out the energy behind the fear or the sorrow, the grief and everything. But underlying it, the remaining emotions, they get suppressed and repressed. Okay? So if you express your emotions as well, it actually propagates this emotion. You express your anger onto someone else gains that angry momentum, and the whole world becomes angry. Right? Your boss gets mad at you, then you have a bad day, and then you get mad at someone else. So expressing your emotions is the topmost layer. And probably in this model that we're going to discuss, it's probably one of the most powerful ways to get rid of the energy behind the emotion. Like, the key with letting go is emotional clearing, so that we can move up to higher and higher levels of vibration and not stay at the lower levels of vibration of fear and have those encourage our lives. Because if you're stuck below that certain level, it's always going to keep going around in loops, and it's going to keep going around in circles. You're never going to be able to organically create your life. So the first and the topmost layer is expression. When we get below that, what happens is people suppress their emotions. So the second layer is suppression. Now, why suppression occurs is because society has made it so that you're not allowed to express these. You're not allowed to, come out with these emotions. It's wrong to do so. Example, for men, it's big taboo to cry. It's like, oh no, man crying, man is weak. So men will suppress their grief and their emotions. What happens when you suppress an emotion is you consciously keep it below the surface. And then you become irritable and you become almost prone to expression with any event. So you can suppress until you hit that threshold point. What I really want you to know is that there is no such thing as like stress. No event can stress you out. Really think about this. No event can anger you. All of these events are triggers to what's already within. If you are an angry person within, anything will anger you. It's just a matter of time till something happens that angers you. If you're a fearful person, anything will fear you. If you have fear naturally within you, you'll go to check your email and just feel that fear come up because you're expecting something to happen. And as a result, that fearful thing does happen. So really all of this happens because something is within you that keeps haunting you. Something's lasting. Something hasn't been let go. Something hasn't been cleared. So, like checking your email shouldn't scare you. Being in traffic shouldn't anger you. Because you're already an angry person within. All of these events are becoming a trigger for you to express that emotion. Then you hit the tipping point of it, right? So all of these events are inherently neutral. There's no such thing as a good event and a bad event. It just doesn't fit the framework of your life and what you expect, what you're identified with. And when it doesn't go your way because you're expecting something and you have this pent-up feeling already inside, that gains the trigger. It just pulls the trigger on that emotion, and then you get to expression, right? So suppression is when you consciously keep your feelings at bay and you sort of keep it down because society expects you to be a certain way, because culturally it could be something. That's still not effective. And finally, what happens is you get to repression. This is when it happens unconsciously. Okay? Why that happens is because the emotion has become so strong, you just forget about it. It just gets deep down rooted in your unconscious mind. And then events start to happen that you can't explain. Patterns keep repeating in a certain way. If you keep suppressing something for longer and longer, it'll eventually become repressed. You're eventually going to act out and express some of it, but then the other parts will get repressed. Okay? When you express something, let's say 80% of it gets expressed, and then that 80% gets propagated into the world, 20% will get repressed. Out of that 20%, some of them will get suppressed. Some of them will get repressed. I hope that makes sense. So repression is an unconscious mechanism of you processing your emotions. All of these are ineffective, right? This is how we always process our emotions. All of these methods are ineffective. They can be a coping mechanism. You can use expression to cope with it. You can use suppression to cope with it. Let's say you're in an interview and you get a crazy surge of feeling and you got to get through this event right now. So you suppress it for the meantime. Or you express, something, you've hit the tipping point, you've got to express it. You've got to talk to someone about it. That's fine. But all of these methods are inherently ineffective because they're just treating the symptom of the problem. They're not getting to the source of it. And what I really want to get to is the mechanism of surrender. Okay? That is the most effective way to let go of this emotion without propagating it, without having it haunt your future. When you express it, 20% is going to haunt you later on. When you suppress something, then almost all of it will haunt you later on. When you repress it, it's the same thing. All of it's going to haunt you later on. Because repression isn't something that you do. It just happens because the emotion becomes so strong, right? The event becomes so strong, and the emotion of fear or whatever it is, of guilt, of shame, it becomes so strong, you totally forget about it. And some of it keeps coming up in your daily life, but you keep ignoring it anyways. You keep suppressing it, and then eventually the suppression leads to repression. Okay? So the most effective thing to do is surrender. And when I share the 2 keys with you, I'm going to share with you how to use this mechanism of surrender. But I also encourage you to read the book Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. This was very, very powerful for me to understand this concept and really apply it in my life for the past couple years. And as a result, have all of those past emotions no longer haunt that future that I want to experience. Okay? People have these traumatic events happen in their employment, and they feel that fear, and that fear starts to encourage their actions, the future actions they take. They're not able to reach out to potential employers. They're not able to pitch their services anymore because they just get traumatized by these events. They don't know what to do with it. You can try all sorts of therapy. You can try all sorts of breathing exercises. But when you do that, you're just trying to really express it. You're trying to do something to get rid of it. So part of it will always get suppressed anyways. So all of those methods is just, a symptomatic solution, not an actual source solution. And what I mean to say by that is you don't have to get to the source of the emotion. It's effective too, but the focus on getting to the source is ineffective because it's kind of like a ladder. You keep surrendering this emotion, you're going to move down the ladder until you get to that original emotion where it's stirred up from. A lot of this is also karmic propensities, things that are happening before you even this lifetime. I don't want to get too deep down into that, but you can still surrender these emotions and have the energy behind them out. So before I get to that, I want to explain to you that all of these repeating patterns happen because of the suppressed and repressed emotions. Expression propagates this onto other people, but then it eventually suppresses it a little bit. Suppression leads to repression. And these suppressed and repressed, these 2 levels are what causes repeating patterns to happen with your relationships, with your employment, with your failed businesses. Something is there that hasn't been dealt with. So it's causing these unfavorable circumstances because your heart wants one thing, but then, your current self, this current version has become so strong that you can't break free from it. You can't become the ideal self, right? These 2 selves are always fighting against each other. So now I want to share with you the 2 keys that's going to help you really surrender. And there's a lot of misconception about this because people try out a lot of different energy clearing methods, breathing techniques, etc., but all of these, again, as I mentioned to you, they're all symptomatic solutions. They're never going to heal the source, heal the problem at the source, if you will. So number 1 is really just letting go, observing the feeling and let it be. That's all you got to do. If you can just do this, that's it. That's all you need to do. Now, there are many nuances to this, by the way. So let's say all of a sudden you get this overwhelming feeling of anxiety. The natural reaction to that is to, do something to escape it, right? Escapism occurs. Like when you completely repress something, that's all. Escapism also is a form of repressing it. Because now what you're doing is you're looking at the TV, you're like, just watch TV, forget about that feeling. Drink alcohol, or do drugs, you just turn to the next thing. You look at your phone, you're just trying to escape that feeling. When you try to escape a feeling, you're unconsciously resisting it. The only way out of fear is to confront fear itself head on. Whenever you feel that feeling of fear within you, the surrender mechanism, tactic of clearing the energy behind it, aka the most effective way to clear it, is to literally just observe it. Don't do anything. Don't try to do anything. Just bring your awareness to the feeling itself. Keep it there. It's going to be like a heavy feeling in your chest. Just keep it there. Don't try to change it. Don't try to label it. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of thoughts around the emotion. So you're going to see that this is the actual feeling and the emotion. And around those, there's going to be a lot of thoughts. A feeling leads to a million different thoughts, if you think about it. And then what happens is the more you think about these thoughts, you get directed to the feeling. The thoughts all redirect you back to the feeling. You know, a traumatic event happens in your business. And then you go on to start another business. Whenever you have that thought, that feeling gets revoked. But the thing is, people deal with the feelings the same way they did before. And they suppress it, they repress it, they escape it. And when you do that, the feeling stays alive. Instead, what the most powerful thing to do is just sit there with it and process them via surrender. Just observe them. Let it be. Hold your awareness onto that emotion for as long as it needs to be. And you'll see what will happen is that it'll eventually transition. It's not going to happen overnight, I can tell you that. It's not going to happen quick. It could take days, it could take weeks, it could take months. Because you're clearing years and years of emotions, right? But what happens is we forget the progress we've made. So you got to look back at what life was like before you even did this work. Like I promise you, if you just observe these negative emotions, within a couple months from now, a lot of progress will have been made, right? So just let go, observe the feeling, and let it be. Hold your awareness on that heaviness, and that heaviness will eventually become lighter and lighter. That's when it transitions onto the next feeling. So the fear eventually becomes like anger, and eventually moves up to pride, eventually moves up to courage. David R. Hawkins has a scale of consciousness, of emotions, that really shows how you move up in these emotions. But the problem is, when people move up to a certain level, they hold on to that. They're like, okay, good, I'm done. But that's not enough. You can still move even higher and higher. So when it transitions into the higher feeling, into the anger, instead of expressing that anger and, maybe suppressing or even repressing it or escaping it, let that go too. See who feels this anger and bring awareness to that anger as well. This is the only thing you need to do. When you feel that heaviness, that heavy feeling in your chest, just bring awareness to it. Awareness is like a ball of light. This is all you got to do. Don't try to do a breathing exercise. Don't try to change it. Because even when you come into this exercise, you want to let go because you want to change that feeling. If you come in with that intention, it's not going to work. Come into the intention of going to the highest good, letting this feeling be there and observing it. That's it. That's the process. So come into the intent with this, to this exercise with the intention of, I'm going to use this to get to the highest level. Because all of these feelings that come up, it's literally giving you a step towards enlightenment. These are all just stages you can use to propel yourself to the next level. But we just keep suppressing, repressing, and getting unconscious to them. We just want to escape them and run away from them. Because they don't feel good. Like, let's admit it, they don't feel good. But you can literally use them to have you get to the next height. And the only thing you got to do, the only rule of this game is observe. Observe that feeling, bring awareness around it, and just feel it. And you'll see eventually it'll become lighter. It might take days, it might take weeks, it might take months. It might even take years. But it'll become lighter and lighter. And eventually, it'll just go up to that next level. And then you feel that, go up to the next level. And you'll see that it'll no longer influence. Because then, you'll know that you've made progress when you think those same thoughts and you no longer feel fear of those thoughts. Like, let's say you had a previous event with your employer or maybe business, and someone's given you a bad review and now no one wants to reach out to you. And now you're afraid of just like reaching out to future clients, right? So you live in that fear. So you think about the thought of reaching out to a future client and it makes you feel fear. Then you observe that fear, you surrender it, you observe it, you let it be. And you'll see that now when you think about it, it no longer leads to that feeling of fear. Because now this has been processed, this has been moved up to the next level. So the law of life is entropy. Nothing wants to stay stagnant. No energy wants to stay stagnant. It wants to always expand and reach out. But we resist these feelings unconsciously by escapism, by suppression, by repression. And as a result, we keep propagating them. And we keep them alive and we keep them in this ball. Don't even resist the resistance of this feeling. It's key. When you change your relationship to the feeling, that's when you start to gain control over it. So the first and foremost thing is to consciously change the emotion, but you can't do that because you've reached the tipping point where you now no longer have control over this emotion. But the only thing you can do is observe it. When you observe it, you become separate from it. You bring that wall of awareness. It's really something that's got to be done. You can't think about it and mentalize about it. Okay? And with that, I conclude this video. Really, really try this exercise. I promise you, this has the potential to change your life. This is something that I've used for the past 2 years, and it's just seen me move up to higher and higher levels and more internal bliss, if you will. So with that, I conclude this video. And to recap the general gist of this video, what we talked about was the different ways we process our emotions unconsciously. First of all, we just express it, to the nearest person, we'll express that feeling. And then what we do is we try to escape it. We suppress it. We repress it. We try to do something else so that we don't have to, experience the magnitude and the intensity of these emotions. And what all of these things do is they keep that emotion alive. Some part of that emotion is alive, and it keeps repeating and influencing future events that happen in our lives. That's why Groundhog Day becomes every day. Okay? And no one's inherently, no event has the power to make you feel a certain way. The emotion is already there, and these events become a trigger for these emotions. Okay? And finally, the mechanism of surrender is as follows. First of all, you want to see that heavy feeling you are feeling. Sometimes I would wake up first thing in the morning and feel anxiety. I know that's coming from my unconscious, from some, repressed feeling that I had. I don't try to label it. I don't try to find out where it came from. But I just let go of that feeling by observing it, letting it be there. I just keep my awareness on that feeling until it gets lighter and lighter. It's kind of like a pressure cooker. You bring that awareness on it, and what happens is the awareness opens up something and then lets the energy behind the feeling go out, like deflating a balloon. And when you see that the emotion gets lighter and lighter as you observe it, it'll transition onto the next feeling. Observe that, let that be too. By doing this, you can really just get to the highest level of consciousness. You can gain quantum leaps in your consciousness in a very, very short period of time. Okay? And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, I'm super excited to announce that the free one-to-one consult with me for the Reality Mastery Program is now open. Please only apply if you're interested in working together to take your life to the next level in a program with me. Okay, so the kind of people that we work with, and we work with really well, are first of all professionals who want to transition out, take their lives to the absolute next level, solve an identity problem. They see that they're hitting an invisible block and barrier and they just don't know what it is. People who are aspiring entrepreneurs and already established entrepreneurs who are stuck at a certain revenue level and they've been stuck for a while now and they just can't scale up and they find that the problem is them. They've tried all the strategies, nothing's really worked. The internal world's got to change. Okay, people who are high performers, creatives. So if that sounds like you, please click on the link below to schedule a consult and let's see if we're a good fit to work together. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Peace.